Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Monday afternoon, 4 o'clock. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman here. Much to talk about as the 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles enter the bye, probably without their tight end for some time. But Zach, nice to see you. Nice to see that beautiful posture, as always. I missed you.
It's great to see you in this new 5-day-a-week setup. I go 2 days without seeing you. It seems like an eternity, right?
Yeah,
so,
it feels like it.
I saw you on the screen yesterday. I listened to you on my ride home. Watched you this morning, and it's great to be sitting here with you talking about the 7-1 Eagles going into the bye week.
Yes, we have a lot to talk about. We will get into the ramifications of the reported injury for Dallas Goedert that is expected to keep him out for some time. We're going to go over some of our extra thoughts from the offense and the defense from a nail-biting game yesterday. We'll obviously close with a look at the Goose Wisely and roster drafts. But, Zach, everybody wants to know, are you wearing a red thong today?
That's what everyone wants to know?
I believe so, yeah.
I was not at the Wolf household, so I did not get I don't have one to wear, so no.
So you were trying to throw a dig back, but I don't. You're just like, my house is full of red thongs, is the implication there?
I mean, you ask us so casually. I imagine a red thong something you're probably familiar with at this point. But
do you even know what we're talking about? Did you miss this part of the discourse? I know you follow Mike Garafolo. Of course, you know what's going on with the red thong. Don't act like you're not interested.
Well, I was wondering last night what you meant by the Matt Leo thing, and then I found out upon rewatching the game what it was about. So I saw Matt Leo cleared it up.
So the word seems to be from Matt Leo on Instagram that it's performance underwear. We're not going to give away a free sponsor here, but it's a specific brand of underwear. He said it is not a thong, but Josh Sweat laughed about it online. I look forward to asking Fletcher Cox about it tomorrow.
Okay, two things here. First of all, I do want to correct. I said 7-1. They're 8-1. Right, my fault there. Just a slight correction. Second, I literally asked you
for acting like my house is decorated by red thongs.
I literally asked you what we're going to talk about on the show, so I could be adequately prepared for any conversation. Not once did you mention you were going to do red thongs at the top of the show. So now,
well, what color thong would you rather wear, Zach?
Bo, like every show I do with you, I'm flustered within the first 90 seconds. Okay.
Don't you think that sets up the emotion of the show, though? Don't you think that's a good way to just set the baseline for what comes later?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay. I mean, you're more of a classic black thong.
I am staying away. I have no opinion on this. Matt Leo can wear whatever type of undergarments he likes. You can wear whatever type of undergarments you like. And I'd prefer not to discuss undergarments. I think that's one of those things that's better left undercover, so to speak.
All right, fair enough. Well, that was a big report from Mike Garafolo. There's other reports from NFL Network people.
Great tease.
Related to the Eagles. Why don't you tell us what's going on with Dallas Goedert?
Yeah, Dallas Goedert, fractured forearm. We'll find out more of it. Actually, we were supposed to hear from Nick Sirianni by now, but his press conference got pushed back a bit.
That does seem to happen quite often, doesn't it, Zach?
It does, yeah. I mean,
frustratingly so, one might say. Yeah. If you were to have a weekly show and you wanted to schedule your Monday show based on Nick Sirianni's availability, you might find it frustrating that it continually moves past when it's supposed to go. And now that it's at 4:30, we're not even going to be on it. That's too bad.
That's the part that frustrates me the most, right? Is I like to always be asking Nick, I come lock and loaded, ready, or I shouldn't say that. I come prepared for a Nick Sirianni press conference, and was driving in thinking about what I'm going to ask Nick. And now I don't have the opportunity to. Now we'll never know.
Probably a thong question.
That was not actually on my list. But I was going to, so the forearm with Dallas Goedert, we all saw the injury happen, lung left sideline, similar to last year, kind of fighting for extra yards. Another shout out to NFL Network, like a Kyle Brandt angry run type play that results in an injury that it could be, you've seen reports anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. I imagine this is going to require an IR stint. The worst time of the season for this to happen. I suppose a decent time in that there's a bye week, a bye week mixed in. But the fact
better
that
than the playoffs, I guess.
Yeah, but you're missing games, and you're missing games against the best opponents on your schedule. I know we'll get into it here. The Eagles did not get much. They did not get much production from their tight ends last year when Goddard was out of the lineup. Now, he missed 5 games, and the offense was fine. Like, the offense still put up over 30 points a game during that period, but they weren't really getting the ball to Jack Stoll. They weren't really getting the ball to Grant Calcaterra. Maybe Albert O changes things. We will see.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too. But the injury to Goddard's significant because for our longtime listeners, and for even those who've picked us up here in the past few weeks, that tight end is the position where the Eagles. It's one of the positions where the Eagles were weakest on the depth chart, like after the starters. And we talked during the offseason, were they going to add a tight end? They really didn't, other than like Dan Arnold. So they didn't add anyone of like major consequence. And now they're in a position where that trust that Jalen Hurts has for Jack Stoll is going to be tested.
Put to the test.
Grant Calcaterra, he's recovering from the concussion. He made some progress last week. That's going to be put to the test. Howie Roseman gave up a draft pick to get Albert O. That's going to be put to the test here. So realistically, actually, what I think is going to happen is they're going to lean on AJ and Devontae even more.
And you wonder if, Julio Jones, maybe some of the routes that Dallas Goedert runs from the inside, those could go to Julio Jones. As you said, Julio's coming. We all are waiting for that big breakout.
Well, he had a touchdown already.
Yeah, but that was before you said Julio's coming. You said he's coming after the touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, Julio is like the adoration that they have in that locker room for Julio Jones. I did that piece last week on AJ Brown and Julio Jones. I'm sorry, AJ Brown and Julio Jones, and
which you can read on ALLPHLY.com.
Which you can read on ALLPHLY.com. And I asked AJ Brown about the clip that the Eagles put out of Jalen Hurts was mic'd up in the Kelly Green game 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago now, for against the Dolphins, Julio's debut. And he went up to AJ Brown and he said, I swear on my mama that swear to God on my mama that when I saw number 11, I thought it was Julio, right? And I asked AJ about this, and AJ's like, he was just fanboying. He won't like that I say it, but that's fine. He was fanboying. He knew it was me. He's just like he's fanboying Julio. And Lane Johnson said he fanboys Julio. Like Julio Jones, when he walks into that Eagles locker room, it's like Bo Wulf at a podcast convention, right? Like it is the type of thing where, what's the expression? What's understood doesn't need to be said. That's kind of what it is.
Okay, that's all true and great. It doesn't really relate to whether or not he's coming, but that's a conversation for a different day. Let's talk about Goedert a little bit, because it sort of feels like he's had less of an impact this year than last year. But the on-off numbers for the offense are pretty stark here. It's not the hugest sample size. He's played 86% of the snaps this season.
Is hugest a word?
Huh?
Is hugest a word?
I think so. It's not the hugest sample size. Yeah.
Okay.
Chat the most huge sample size. I think hugest works.
Chris, our outstanding social media guy, chimes in. He says hugest is a word. I don't think it is either. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it for me on the show today, guys. Have a good one.
Sorry.
Oh, guess what? It is a word. Maybe you can leave.
I'm contracted to do the show.
It is a
here,
word,
man.
It is not the hugest sample size, but it's something. Dallas Goedert has played 86% of the snaps this season. On those snaps, when he is on the field, the Eagles have a 52.4% success rate, 0.14 EPA per dropback, and 0.06 EPA per rush. Those would rank, if they were over the course of the full season, third in success rate, sixth in EPA per dropback, and third in EPA per rush. In those 14% of the snaps when he is not on the field, has not been on the field this season, they would rank 32nd in success rate, 27th in EPA per dropback, and 27th in EPA per rush. So there's some selection bias here because some of the times when he's not on the field, they maybe are not trying to be as productive as when he's off the field. But I mean, the state of the offense, I think they've got a lot of work to do. And I think that I would imagine that goal number one for Nick Sirianni over the bye week is going to be how can we make sure that this offense stays functional without Dallas Goedert on the field. Yeah,
those numbers, I'm glad you brought that up because that explains it. Just his presence requires defensive attention. He is, from my view, one of the top 5 tight ends in the NFL. He's really good as a run blocker. He's dangerous with the ball in his hands. When the Eagles made that, you see, when I've discussed it on this show, when he catches the ball with the chance to get yards after the catch, he is dangerous. And the play when he got hurt last night was evidence of that. And the Eagles don't have a tight end who can compensate for his absence. So the offense changes. I agree. The bye week comes at a good time in this sense that Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo and Jason Michael and the whole offensive staff, Jeff Stoutland, Jamal Singleton, Aaron Moorhead, they're all going to have to kind of put their heads together here and figure out, Alex Tanney, they're going to have to put their heads together and figure out how to make this offense still flow without one of the top tight ends in the league.
I also think it is worth discussing that this is a continuation of a bit of a trend for Dallas Goedert. He is a player who has had trouble staying healthy. He has not played a full season since his rookie year when he was a part-time player.
Yeah, it's a good point. I asked him about it this summer, and he kind of pushed back, saying that all these injuries were independent, right? And this is one too. If you break your arm, it's not like a recurring injury. It's not like Sam Bradford tearing the ACL, right? And he has knee problems, but
it also speaks to his style of play.
Speaks to his style of play, and and physically he's missing time, and I do think Dallas Goedert is a player, and we'll have ample time to discuss it this offseason, but you kind of think long term, do the Eagles start thinking about their future at tight end?
And he is, I believe, the age that the Eagles, that Zach Ertz was when the Eagles drafted him. And so, yes, I think that is a thing that they have to have in the back of their mind.
But to the point that I was making earlier, Goedert missed 5 games last season. In those 5 games, the Eagles tight ends totaled only 14 catches for 143 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, I recognize the offense changes, right? You're not going to throw the ball to Jack Stoll at the rate that you throw the ball to Dallas Goedert. So the target distribution is adjusted accordingly. But the per-game average, you're looking at 2.8 catches and 28.6 yards. So all of a sudden, you go from saying the offense runs through 11, 6, and 88 to now saying you did a smile. Did I point in the right direction?
I didn't smile.
Okay.
I'm not having any fun right now.
Sorry to hear that. I'm having a blast. Joy is cracking up here, right? I mean, it's always good when you make the producers laugh, right? And
I would say that Julia right now has the hugest smile on her face.
Yeah. Good. I see what you did there. So yeah, I think that it goes from 11, 6, and 88 to now all of a sudden maybe 11, 6, and 80. I don't know, or just 11 and 6. Right?
They have to find something else.
Yeah.
Now, Quez Watkins at some point is going to be back here. It's a different dynamic, obviously, to the offense. Zacchaeus had that really nice first down catch in the opening drive of the game yesterday, and then it was like he went into witness protection after that. We'll see about Julio Jones. They got to find somebody else who can be a factor in the passing game.
Yeah. Or you just throw it to A.J. Moore because that seems to be working, right? He is that good.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean, they got to find somebody else.
A.J. Brown, by the way, the fastest player to 1,000 yards.
I mean, it's wild that nine game into the season. It's insane.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And look, if you can throw it to 6 more too, Like, I think he'd be happy, and I think there'd be a good outcome there. I know there is a faction of Eagles fans that might say run the ball more. I don't know how much and we'll get to it. I imagine they really didn't run the ball.
A big part of that as well.
Exactly.
And so it's not quite that simple.
I see in the chat, Ash says Eagles drafting Brock Bowers. They could wish they were drafting Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers would
There's
go.
nothing Zach loves more than a tight end at the top of the draft.
Brock Bowers is going to go in the top 10. So I don't think the Eagles have a shot at Brock Bowers, but there's some other tight ends that we'll be discussing. I think this could be a decent tight end draft. So we'll look into it.
Now, you want to know like how good Zach's memory is, how important it is that he pays attention to people and remembers people. We have a new sponsor on the show today. Okay, we are happy to be partnering with the Pennsylvania dairy farmers and Team Chocolate Milk, and I'm going to get to that. But you got to know that we've got Patrick here today, and Patrick walked in, and Zach goes, "Oh, Patrick." What was it, like 12 years ago that
16.
we worked together?
16
years ago? What's the story here?
I was interning at the Philadelphia Inquirer. Patrick was interning at Philly.com. I remember being at Lehigh University where the Eagles had training camp, and we were chatting. He was at St. Joe's at the time. I was at Syracuse at the time. So, yeah, it's great to see Patrick again. It's been a long time.
Unbelievable. What a good memory. People make an impression on you.
Yeah, that, and I think it's always important to remember people, remember names,
But I mean, don't just pretend that Patrick himself made an impression. If Patrick
Absolutely.
were any other jabron, you might not remember.
Yeah, but I would like to think I remember everyone, but Patrick as well, especially. Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk chocolate milk. The original rotisserie fantasy baseball league. The prize was always a celebratory pouring of chocolate milk over the winner at the end of the season. That's what the winner got. And that's what chocolate milk is about. Chocolate milk is about winners, Zach. Professional and college athletes have known about the power of chocolate milk as a refuel and recover beverage for a long time. Chocolate milk provides high-quality protein for muscle repair, electrolytes for hydration, and calcium for strong bones. That's why studies consistently show that chocolate milk is an ideal sports recovery beverage. Whether you are recovering after a workout at the gym, a run around Boathouse Row, or a bike on the Schuylkill Trail, chocolate milk is an ideal post-workout beverage. Taking care of your body doesn't end when the clock hits zero on your workout routine. Give your body what it needs to properly recover and make it taste good. What could be better than a scientifically proven recovery beverage made right here in Pennsylvania that also tastes great? Learn more about how chocolate milk can help you refuel and recover after your next workout by visiting teamchocolatemilk.com.
And actually, I'm not just saying this as a transition. I'm saying this honestly. This is the absolute truth. When recently I had when I took my son to Wheelhouse Cards, we stopped at a local fast food restaurant. Well, at a fast food restaurant that's one of his favorites. I won't mention what it is because you can feel free to advertise here if you would like. But as Bo knows, I always love when I can order something on the app and I don't have to wait in line. So we ordered on the app, and therefore you can customize the children's menu. And my son, my daughter wants the apple juice, but my son wants the chocolate milk. Okay, so when we went to Wheelhouse Cards, we had chocolate milk. But the reason why we went to Wheelhouse Cards is because it is the place to be. I mean, if you're, not just if you're a kid, if you're of any age, there's things for you. But especially if you love cards, Wheelhouse is the go-to sports card gift and apparel shop in the Delaware Valley. Their motto is cards and community because love of sports unites us all. They carry all of our favorite card brands like Topps, Chrome Baseball, and Mosaic Football, as well as t-shirts, hats, and hoodies from brands like Mitchell & Ness, 47 brand, Junk Food Starter, and Shy Vintage Sports. I was on Shy Vintage Sports' website the other day. I could just get their stuff at Wheelhouse Cards. Looking to grade your sports card collection, Wheelhouse offers PSA grading submissions. They also host tons of different family-friendly events and birthday parties every month. Stop in to either of their stores in Wayne or Westchester. I went to the one in Wayne. They're open 7 days per week at 11 a.m. Use code PHLY and get $10 off any purchase of $25 or more in store. Also, be sure to give them a follow on Instagram at Wheelhouse Cards. I follow them on Instagram. That's how I found out that Michael Rubin stopped by the other day. So that was popular among the card community. So make sure you check them out. Wheelhouse Cards.
You had to throw that in there. You're making me bite my tongue during an ad read. That's not generous.
I mean, if you're getting like big time people coming in like that, I think that's a good sign of how good of a store you are.
No comment. All right, let's talk about the offense, Zach, because over the course of the game, productive work from the group by EPA per drive. It was their second best game of the season, but hard to sort of get the taste out of your mouth that those last 3 drives with the game on the line and a chance to salt the game away, they go 3 and out every single time. They have what could have been one of the biggest boners in Eagles history.
Okay. There's no other word choice you could go with there. Mishaps.
Hugest boners, I could have said, yeah.
Okay. Proceed.
And
that was sophomore of me to laugh.
They got a little bit lucky there. What were a day later, with the night's sleep, to your credit, what were the thoughts at the top of your mind about the offense?
Well, if Emily's watching right now, she'll say night's sleep. What was that night's sleep? Went to bed at 2, was up at 5, so didn't really get.
But that's a normal night for you. I mean,
not for a 4:30 game. It shouldn't have been. So, but no, to your point, when I went back and was going through the game, those drives were killer, and that I wrote this in my story. If that would have been in the story on allphly.com, I should say, that would have been the story from the game.
Absolutely.
If the Eagles, if any of those red zone trips that Dallas had, they had those 3 red zone trips or 4 red zone trips, one resulted in a touchdown there down the stretch. If those were touchdowns and the Eagles lost that game, the big story and the topic that would have dominated Nick Sirianni's press conference is how do you go 3 and out 3 times in the fourth quarter? And Nick Sirianni talks often about situational football. Situational football is closing a game. And how many times have the Eagles closed the game with Jalen Hurts taking a knee, closed the game with extended drives? For them to have 3 consecutive 3 and outs, and I didn't say this on the postgame pod because or the postgame show because I missed Jalen Hurts' press conference. I went back and credit to Jalen Hurts. Credit to Jalen Hurts for being honest here, because he talked about repeated mistakes. He talked, and he said the offense didn't get it done there, and that's something that he was very honest. That's something that must be corrected. You can't have 3 and outs when you have a chance to close the game.
Well, I mean, this goes to, we were talking about this before the show. You had the thing about how some guys in the locker room were talking about how much they took to heart Nick Sirianni's Bob Knight message about the winning team, is the team that makes the fewer mistakes.
Yep.
I mean, in the final 2.5 minutes of this game, the Eagles made 6 terrible mistakes. This was not a crisp game. And I know that we are complaining about a team that's 8-1 and all that stuff, and their record is what it says it is, but offensively, the one when they're backed up on the 1, you can sort of forgive, right? That's a difficult situation. That second down throw goes behind Zacchaeus, not a great throw, and then from there you just want to get out a little bit. The second to last drive, I mean, that 3rd and 3 throw to A.J. Brown, I don't know what that call is all about. Sirianni said the thing about how sometimes you get in that situation and the defense is protecting the sticks, and so you have an opportunity. That was a bad throw and a bad decision, and I am the guy who is usually saying let's throw the ball instead of run the ball, but in that situation with 3 yards to go and knowing you have the tush push in your back pocket, you can't get 2 yards there. And then at the end of the game, I didn't love the sequence of that. The final 3 and out. I thought they should have thrown the ball on first or second down, had more of a safe pass, one of those RPOs. But then, I mean, if we're talking about getting the details right and execution, I mean, you got a guy running into the ball carrier and knocking him stone cold, it looked like. I mean, that's as bad execution as you could possibly have.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Where I would push back, and we were discussing this in the in the office here, and I said I'll save it for the show. Is the quote is about the team that makes the fewer mistakes, and the Eagles made the fewer mistakes, right?
I don't know that I agree with that.
What I
don't know that I agree with that.
I mean,
I think they were the more talented team. I think they were the better team. I don't think that they made fewer mistakes necessarily.
The Cowboys. I mean, they had a costly penalty when they were down at the 6-yard line on that final drive, pushes them back to the 11 or the 12. They on the 2-point conversion, Dak Prescott steps out of bounds. Spatial awareness there. The game is different if they need a field goal and not a touchdown. They throw it short of the end zone on a 4th and goal at the 1. Reed Blankenship makes the stop. They made some of these bad penalties throughout the game, and for the
Eagles also had 3 fumbles that they recovered.
Look, I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying, I think the Eagles made fewer mistakes, and B,
I don't agree with that.
I thought the defense closed the game. Like, the defense made a few more plays than the Cowboys did, but
that's not the absence of mistakes. That's making
no. But I'm saying, but that's part of this. Is like, look, the defense was down Bradberry and Slay at one point on that final drive. They're figuring this out. They're inventing defenses not inventing defenses, but inventing packaging, personnel groupings as they go. Slay is sliding over to Lamb on the final plays there, saying, he's telling the coaching staff, like, if Lamb goes inside, I'm following him. So the defense made the plays. They made more plays than Dallas did. So that's where I push back, because I don't think the Eagles played mistake-free football, but I think they made fewer mistakes than Dallas did.
I don't think they made fewer mistakes than Dallas did. I think they made more mistakes, but I think the difference is they are a much more talented team. And I think that is part of the conversation that Nick Sirianni sort of wants to make this like a plucky team that gets all the details right. I'm sorry. This is a team that is like the most talented team in the league, and they won because they had Josh Sweat, who got to go up against Terrence Steele, and Terrence Steele gives up 4 of the 5 sacks, and they're like, that's why they're so good at the end of the game, is because they had this loaded defensive line, and those guys can all get after the quarterback. And so if you've got Josh Sweat and Jalen Carter and Hassan Reddick, and you give them enough chances to get a sack, you're hoping that one of them can do it in like pure pass rush situations, right? I don't think that this was like, oh, we had all our T's crossed and our I's dotted. Like, boy, did we get this thing done. This was like, boy, do we have a great collection of players on this team. Yeah.
So, I mean, and we could be arguing semantics.
And maybe and I'm not saying this is not coaching, because there is something to like the, fomenting the belief that like you have guys who are going to do this, and they've done it enough times that there is a self-belief on that team when it comes like to the game on the line. I'm just saying, let's not like pat them on the back for finally putting a game together. They made like 10 mistakes that could have, or arguably should have, cost them the game.
I'm just saying, you're playing the opponent. You're not playing perfection, right? Like so it's not like this is the optimum performance and this is the performance, and you're judged based on the optimum performance. You're judged based on the scoreboard. It's the old adage. You don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun your friend, right? And you know what I'm talking about here, right?
I know what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it is. They made fewer mistakes, I thought, than the Cowboys did. I mean, the Cowboys had costly penalties. The Cowboys had bad situational awareness. The Cowboys didn't make enough winning plays, and the Eagles made more winning plays down the stretch.
Okay. I mean, we are just arguing semantics at this point. You wanted to talk a little bit more about Jalen Hurts' performance.
Yes. I think that, and I'm not taking away from the toughness discussion, right? Like, he is dealing with something here. We all saw at the end of the first half, like in the locker room, the Eagles thought Mariota was going to go. They were saying they thought Mariota was going to go into the game when Jalen was down
in the second. Oh, at the end of the second quarter.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. Jalen's playing through an injury. He said the bye can't come at a good enough time.
He said selfishly, yeah,
exactly. So the narrative after the game is like, man, Jalen Hurts is tough. Don't disagree with that. The narrative for me should be, man, Jalen Hurts is good. Because as a passer, Jalen Hurts made some high-level plays, some high-level decisions. I said it on the postgame show last night. That pass to Devontae down the left sideline was awesome.
Beautiful throw.
And I think that for as much conversation as you and I have had and Eagles fans have had over the past 2-3 years about Jalen Hurts as a passer, I think what you are seeing in recent weeks is Jalen Hurts winning games with his arm. Is Jalen Hurts, like the Washington game, and I understand that's not a very good defense, that the Washington defense, that was, it's like statistically Jalen's best passing game of his career. Against a good Dallas defense that entered the game number 3 in DVOA, that, like you said, wants to get into dime, that has one of the best pass rushers in the NFL on their team. I thought Jalen made good decisions, put the ball in good spots, and was the winning quarterback in that game. So, like, I give Jalen so much credit for that.
Yeah, I thought he was really good. I thought Dak was good too. But
he's always good against the Eagles, Dak. Yeah.
I mean, you did see, like, we know that the running is an issue right now. There were several plays in this game where, old Jalen Hurts would have turned the corner and beaten a guy to the sticks, and that just wasn't there. I thought it was telling, rewatching it, I had forgotten that the play right before he gets hit in the knee at the end of the second quarter, he's in the open field and he gets, like, crushed in the middle of his chest, right? And so it was like compounding one hit on another, which I think played a little bit of a role in why he was down on the ground for so long. But yeah, there were some great throws in this game, some great decisions. I loved the throw to Dallas Goedert on the second fourth down of the opening drive. Great throw. I like the throw to Devontae over the middle. That was just like a P in between the coverage. That was beautiful. It was really, really nice. And I do think that if you were somebody who was worried about like the longevity of Jalen Hurts' career, how great can he be if he is robbed of his legs? This season has been kind of like an unfortunate circumstance, but sort of making you hopeful about like his long-term ability as just a regular quarterback.
Great point. And like the decision making, when you're 17 of 23, right? When your passing rating is 130.2, when you don't turn the ball over through the air, right? I understand there were some handling things there, but through the air, I thought that you said it well. Like long term, these past few weeks should give you optimism because Jalen Hurts is going to run the ball and he's going to be dangerous as a runner, and the running game is going to be better when he does run. But to know that you're going to win games, and by the way, like I'm praising Jalen here. I don't want to take away from the fact that it helps when you're throwing AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, right? Like this is the reality of it. That when I was watching Patrick Mahomes on yesterday morning, and he just doesn't have high level receivers right now, and he's trying to make do with the group that he has. And then you watch like how fortunate the Eagles are to have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, so that helps. But Jalen's giving them the ability to make plays, and I give him a lot of credit for that.
The only other thing that I think is worth mentioning is that I do think that his absence of being a rushing threat right now is affecting the running game.
Okay.
And I think you sort of started to see the Cowboys playing him differently in this game. And I don't think it's just an offensive line thing right now as why the running game can't get untracked. I think there is a part of it that his defenses are playing them differently now because they're not respecting Jalen as a real threat to run the ball.
Yeah, and we talked about the +1 in the running game, how that's a big part of what the Eagles do. And I said it, I don't want to keep saying I said it on the show last night, but when we were talking with Jamie about, like, will Cam Jurgens fix this running game? And I said Jalen Hurts will fix this running game because I think once Jalen starts running the way we know he can, then it opens up a lot of different elements to this offense.
All right, Zach. Well, buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. They've got flash deals on last-minute tickets. Easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. images of seat views, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and more. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. You get images of your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, just 2 taps and you're set, and the tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never, ever have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You know what we didn't talk about on the post-game show, and it's like this is such a thing that has become so normalized for the Eagles that like we don't even have to talk about it anymore, but like going for it on fourth down from their own 34 on the opening drive of the game, 2 fourth down conversions on the opening drive. I think it was the first time this season that any team has gone for it on fourth down twice on the opening drive of a game. It is nice to have a coach who is willing to do that. And I think, a lot of it is sort of the faith in the tush push and not necessarily like being analytically friendly. But I mean, it's nice that they have that in their bag. It's a little bit of an advantage over opponents.
You're absolutely right, and more teams should. And by the way, the Eagles had on that opening drive, they had a 4th and 3 at the 30-something, and they went for they obviously went for it. They converted.
Right,
they scored a touchdown.
Goddard, really nice throw. Yeah.
The Cowboys had a 4th and 3 in a similar situation, kicked a field goal.
Yes.
Right, like that. That
and
shows
then
you right
punted
there.
on a 4th and 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was very funny because the halftime, I don't know if you were listening to the broadcast at this point, Aaron Andrews.
The Wi-Fi was a little tough in the stadium, so I couldn't watch my YouTube TV.
The Aaron Andrews nugget from Mike McCarthy is that he came back from halftime. He was like, "Yeah, we need to keep being aggressive on fourth down like we have been doing," and that was after he had already punted or kicked a field goal on 4th and 3. Like, what a jabron.
Yeah, one of my issues with coaches sometimes is like when they convince themselves of something that's not actually the case.
Like, for instance,
that you're disciplined.
We're a disciplined, mistake-free football team. Yeah. Okay. Or we have a superpower to create turnovers.
Well, that part, but
and avoid turnovers. Yeah.
But the 4th down aggressiveness is like it befuddles me that more teams don't do this. Right? We see it. Then the numbers are what they are, and I keep seeing this tweet like every single week, college football and pro football, that our generation can make game management decisions better because we grew up playing Madden and whatnot. But like, it's not far fetched. Sometimes like you see the 4th down decision bot. That's the math. And how many coaches defy this 4th down decision bot? Like this isn't data that's like selectively chosen. This is based on a large sample size here. So it befuddles me that more coaches are not as aggressive as Nick Sirianni on 4th down.
Just looking through my notes from the rewatch, the last thing on the offense I wanted to say is I didn't think that Tyler Stain had a particularly great debut. Okay. There were a couple plays where it seemed like he was at fault in the run game. He whiffed on a block on his opening drive, but I didn't. He certainly wasn't a disaster.
Did you think he was better than Sua?
I don't know if I have a strong opinion on that. I think it was about the same.
Interesting. Okay.
But I think that they are looking forward to getting Cam Jurgens back.
And I'm expecting that to happen after the bye.
And we should say, just on the mechanics of IR for Goedert, in season, actually in the postseason too, IR is games, not weeks, right? And so if you're hoping that the bye would help you escape a missed game for Goedert, that is not the case. So if they think that he's going to be back for the Cowboys game, they wouldn't put him on IR. They would just leave him on the roster for 3 weeks, right? But more likely, it sounds like he's probably going to be placed on IR, which would mean he's out for that second Cowboys game.
And Bradley Roby's an example of that, by the way. Right. Like the Eagles,
and he has said he expects to be back.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now the bye helps you in terms of like its actual time to recover. Right. So if you're looking at let's say it's a 5-6 week window where you're going to be out, you miss one fewer game because of it. But no, you are correct that when you're calculating that, you calculate it by games, not weeks.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Bradley Roby because we can talk about the defense now, and obviously the middle of the field, an issue yesterday. it does sound like Roby will be back.
Yes.
For that Chiefs game. Do you think that he will just step in and be the every down nickel?
I do. That's why he's here. I think they liked what they saw before the injury. Now maybe there's like a brief transition here, but look, the reason why you have a 31-year-old, I think he's 31, either 30 or 31. The reason why you have a 30,
I wonder if we're gonna get just Bradberry locked in on Travis Kelce in that game.
Interesting. You think like the whole training camp, Bradberry in the slot was preparing
Maybe
for this. I wouldn't put it past them, right? And they would love to flex that after the game, right? This is what August 18th was for, you know, or August 6th, I should say, or something like that. I was trying to pick before the preseason started. So no, you're absolutely correct. Eugene Krabs says Sirianni with the Phillies hoodie. We're doing the show, so we're not on the press conference. It is
much to our chagrin.
Yeah, this is tough here. I'm keeping it together as best I can right
Barely.
now.
You're bursting at the seams.
I'm bursting at the seams. Nick does
Should
not
we call in? Should we get on the Zoom and just do it live on the show?
Nick does not know how badly I want to talk to him. Actually, if Nick knew how badly I want to talk to him, he'd be a little spooked out.
I think that's probably the case for most people.
Yeah, that is probably the case for most people. That is true.
I think it would be even creepier for like Ronell Williams, the Nichols coach. Like if he knew how badly you wanted to talk to him, he would definitely be a little bit creeped out.
You know what though?
Nick has got to be a little bit used to it by now.
I actually think it's the opposite. I think someone like that would be like it's like this person really wants to talk to me, to learn about me, right? Like,
I think it would cross the line. I think it would go like he would, if you told him you were really excited to talk to him, I think that would make him feel good. Yeah. But if he really knew deep down inside how badly you wanted to talk to him, I think that might be a little bit disconcerting.
I got some comments from Friday's show of people who were like, "You think Nick's spooked out by like the second, third date question, like the way you framed it?" And I said, I really appreciate how big of a PHLY Eagle Show fan you are, that you think that Nick is watching this right now.
I think he's watching.
Yeah. So but perhaps it got back to me. I mean, Nick's pretty self-aware. I think Nick knows that I like asking questions. I try to go beyond the surface, right? So when I say second or third date question, I mean you're getting questions beyond the surface, not questions I would actually ask on a second or third date. I kind of want to know, and
I was gonna ask him this today. Might as well just say it. If as long as the important stuff got asked, I want to know like how competitive his kids are about who gets to go on the post-game press conference. Like how much of a deal that becomes in the house. Yeah,
because his daughter hadn't been up there since the playoffs last year, and she was like a little sensation during the playoffs last year. Yeah.
So anyway, defense. What jumped out to you? I mean, I thought that before we even get to the secondary, part of the reason that I was impressed with them being able to come up with that sack at the end of the game is because, I mean, they were, it seemed to me, just completely wiped at the end of that game, especially the second to last Cowboys drive. I mean, there were plays where like the guys were just pulling up and not even rushing because they were so exhausted. And that's why you saw Brandon Graham have to make a big play on that drive. And then I wonder if there was something to, like, is there a conversation between Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick? Like, I've got a little bit more juice right now. Let me go up against Terrence Steele because he is the guy who they were able to beat all day long. I think he gave up 4 of the 5 sacks. It is like a credit to the roster building that they are that deep on the line, but there was definitely a tinge of like they were losing steam at the end there. Like they just barely got over the finish line.
Yeah. So to the point about them switching sides, that did come up in the locker room afterwards because that sack did come from it, and something to do with where the slot was playing. I need to dig into that more, but that's kind of the way they framed it. Something they were like mixing around based on the slot.
Because they do not usually switch sides.
No, they do not. And I'm sure knowing Hassan, he was probably like, I want to close against Terrence Steele.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. My big takeaway was, and I should say this. I know we're talking about the defense, but Nick's call is going on, and he confirmed the Goedert injury. They're hoping that they get Goedert back this season. According to Martin Frank from the Delaware News Journal, Nick Sirianni said different options for replacing Dallas Goedert, not necessarily just 3 other tight ends on the roster. He has not said if Goddard's going to go on IR or not. So we'll have more information this week on allphly.com and on our social media. to the question about defense, what stood out, by the way, and this is like on brand for me to say, but Josh Sweat deserves to be discussed among like the top pass rushers in the league. The bend that he, like the ability for him to win around the edge. He wins with speed. He wins with power. He's able to bend around, get that sack. You don't see a lot of like 6'5", 270-pound edge rushers who can do that. He is.
I couldn't believe Dak held onto the ball for when Jalen Carter gets that second hit.
Yes,
Crazy.
Good point. Josh Sweat.
Or was that the Brandon Graham one? That might have been the Brandon Graham one.
Josh Sweat, great development. Number one, and that's a credit to him. It's a credit to the coaching staff. Great contract by the Eagles to get it done when they did. Right, that's looking like a bargain now. I mean, we saw what Montez Sweat got paid this weekend. The Eagles have Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick on like really team-friendly deals relative to what the going rate is for edge rushers. And by the way, I imagine in the next 12 to 16 months, that's going to have to be addressed.
Probably so.
For both those guys. But yeah, that's what stood out to me is we always talk about the Eagles investing in their pass rush. Eagles investing in their pass rush, where you see that more in the fourth quarter than any other time, right? In gotta have it situations this year, that pass rush has come through and made significant plays. And we talk about Hassan Reddick being a closer. Josh Sweat was the closer last night, but Jalen Carter had a big rush. Brandon Graham, a sack and a half there, right? Came alive. So the pass rush comes through late in those games.
No doubt about it. Nakobe Dean left this game with an injury again. Any sense? I'm sure that Sirianni hasn't really said anything about that, but I thought that Nicholas Mora was a little bit more of a liability in this game than he had been in past games. There was a play where he sort of pulled a Jamon Brown, where he was in coverage and he was like adjusting his mouthpiece in the middle of the play and gave up a catch over the middle.
I love how that's a Jamon Brown. Yeah.
I'm ready for Christian Ellis. I've always been ready for Christian Ellis. Let's see it. I think Zach Cunningham has been really, really good. I thought Reed Blankenship was good in this game, but the middle of the field is an issue. And you're preparing next for a Chiefs team that has Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid off the bye is going to be able to dial up whatever he wants. It seems like. I'm definitely concerned about that. I don't know that Bradley Roby is going to be the panacea for that.
So a few things there. First off, the Dean injury, the fact that he was pronounced out right away is ominous, I think, for his status. We'll find out more. With the personnel package, I want to see the Eagles do more here in this latter part of the season is the 3 safety package. And now that you have Byard, and now that Sidney Brown's developing, and I like Sidney Brown almost the way he was used at Illinois in college, where let him fly to the ball. I think he's really good in run support. He's very active. He's quick. He's tough. He's physical. He's smart. I would like to see him play in these 3 safety packages. Now that you have Byard and Blankenship,
you mean like a big dime? So four guys up front, 1 linebacker, and then 6 guys behind. So you'd have Byard still on the field.
Exactly. Okay. Yes. I'm sorry. Not
as like a pseudo linebacker.
Yeah. Not as a heavy nickel, as a heavy dime.
Right.
And I think that gives you more speed. That gives you more coverage. And I want to see Sidney Brown play more.
I think that's fair. Yeah. Coverage, man-to-man coverage is not his strong suit.
No.
So far at this stage of his career. But I think you can tell that he is he belongs on the field athletically. He's very physical. I am less worried about him being on the field than I might have thought I would be week 1 or week 2, when it seemed like in training camp he was just going 100 miles an hour in any direction. There was a nice little pop of support for Eli Ricks. He wasn't great yesterday. You can't really expect him to cover CeeDee Lamb for 4 seconds. But there's some reason to. He's a good prospect to keep around, right?
Really good prospect.
That they need to keep him on the field right now.
Yes.
Of those CeeDee Lamb catches yesterday, I was going through it in the rewatch. Almost all of them came from the slot, and even the ones that didn't, he's beaten Darius Slay, which is you got to sort of tip your cap. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in the league. You got to give him credit too. But when it's him against Sidney Brown one-on-one, or Eli Ricks one-on-one, or Kevin Byard one-on-one, or Zach Cunningham is in zone coverage, you can't expect to win those matchups.
No, and again, against the Chiefs, and we'll have ample time to discuss that. You're not worried about their wide receivers in those situations. You're more worried about Travis Kelce. But the Eagles have Diggs the following week, right? And they're going to have Lamb coming up soon, and maybe Debo's back when they play the Niners. So they're going to see a handful of these types of wide receivers, and they already saw Justin Jefferson this year. They already saw Cooper Kupp this year. You need to know. You need to have confidence in your slot situation, but you need to know what happens when the top receiver goes inside. Are you moving Slay inside? Are you just going to say, Slay, you're better than Bradberry this year? You're better than Roby or Sidney Brown or Eli Ricks? Like, you're going to follow the best receiver? Or do you say, we're just going to play what we do and we're going to trust the guys that we have?
Well, FOCO is a leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectible novelty items, and more. It's the best officially licensed gear for all sports and fandoms. It's football and tailgating season, so they've got overalls, hoodies, hats, sunglasses, bags, everything you need for a game. And FOCO has hooked PHLY up and provided awesome pieces for our sets. FOCO always has our back for Philly sports, and they have yours too. Get the best gear around by using the link in our description. For all non-presale items, use the promo code PHLY for 10% off. All right, Zach, let's judge Goose Wisely here.
Let's judge it.
Last week's draft, I entered the week up 5-2, 25-22 for your. You want to keep pushing the total points, so we'll see how that goes. Well, we'll get to that in a sec, Julia. It's totally okay. We've got a lot of nonsense going on. I had Tony Pollard out rushes DeAndre Swift. That happened. You had Hassan Reddick out sacks Micah Parsons. That did not happen. 1-0 me. I had DeAndre Swift rushes for more yards than Joel Embiid's points plus rebounds plus assists plus blocks plus steals on Saturday. Joel Embiid totaled 41 on there. DeAndre Swift had 43 yards rushing. So I get that, even though I would not have expected to, given Swift's output.
I'm like the Vegas odds makers here. That
was a great one. Yeah, you nailed that one.
Boom, I like
Fantastic. You had DeAndre Swift is not the leading rusher in the game, so you got that 2-1. I had Devontae Smith has more receiving yards than A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert combined. It did not happen. You had CeeDee Lamb scores a touchdown with either Sidney Brown or Eli Ricks in coverage on him. Did not happen. I had Micah Parsons records at least a half a sack. That happened. You had Micah Parsons records 0 sacks. That did not happen. 3-1. A golden egg. I had the Cowboys convert a tush push. That did happen despite the challenge from Nick Sirianni. That was the challenge.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Sirianni challenge. What did you think of that challenge?
I liked it. It was a significant play in the game, right? Because if...
I mean, there's like a 2% chance that gets overturned, but it's probably worth it, I thought.
Okay.
So that's a 2-pointer for me. You had, there are more shots of Jerry Jones in his box during the broadcast than there are turnovers in the game. I rewatched the condensed copy, but I don't remember any shots of Jerry Jones during the game.
I got a text with Jerry Jones in it. Does that count?
Big flex. It doesn't count. I don't think that this happened, and there was one turnover in the game. So right now, I'm saying you don't get that unless somebody can show me
the turnover, the last play of the game.
Last play of the game.
Okay.
I don't think that happened. I had Nolan Smith plays more snaps than Jake Elliott has points. Nolan Smith had 9 snaps in this game. Jake Elliott accounted for 4 points. I get that. You had Nolan Smith plays fewer snaps than A.J. Brown has catches. A.J. had 7 catches, so you did not get that. What do you make of Nolan Smith?
Well, we're gonna play our stock game later this week. I'm doubling down on my Nolan Smith stock. I think
he has been invisible.
Yeah, he hasn't done enough. I agree with you there, but I think that with more time, with more reps, I'm gambling on that athletic ability, that makeup, and I think he's going to start making plays. But the fact that they're not playing him even when Barnett's down,
it's a little bit concerning.
That is concerning. Like the amount of snaps that Reddick and Sweat are taking, I think it's too many, and you got to start thinking about January and December here.
Yeah, I think it was curious that even with Barnett down, he did not play more snaps yesterday. He still only played 9 snaps.
Yeah.
And then with guys totally gassed.
Yeah, and Brandon Graham's on he's on a pitch count this year. Like they are monitoring his snaps to get him to the end of the year.
Yeah, so I thought that was a bit of a red flag. I had Mike McCarthy does something dumb. I'm going to let you decide whether you thought Mike McCarthy did something dumb in this game.
You had that one?
I had it for this is a golden egg. This is a 2-pointer.
Yeah, so then he didn't. Nah. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding.
There goes journalistic integrity.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, I think Mike McCarthy did.
I thought the worst thing he did was their lack of tempo in that second to last drive. Like they let so much time go off the clock when they knew they had 3 timeouts. That was a bad job.
Yeah, I thought the kick in the field goal on that 4th and 3 was dumb. So you get the 2 points there. I mean, what are you without your integrity? So
you get 2 points for Fletcher Cox as a TFL or a sack, so that's a good job by you.
And Fletcher Cox will be on our show tomorrow, so make sure you check that out.
Will be on our show tomorrow, as will Brian Baldinger.
Yes.
And then, listen, I know that Daniz has a bit of a beef with me because I forgot to moa culpa the thing about the roster mechanics of the jersey change for Kevin Byard and Mario Goodrich. I believe he was the first one to point that out on Twitter. I'm sorry about that. That's no excuse to get this wrong, though, Daniz. I know that you care about the integrity of the game, Goose Wisely. I am the one who had the Cowboys gain more yards than their season average. Zach is the one who had the Eagles score more points than their season average, which is 28. So they did not do that. They got it right on the number. I did get the yards for the Cowboys, so that's another win for me. So it's 7-3 without McCarthy, 7-5 if there were 2 Jerry Jones shots, and 9-5 or 9-3 if I get McCarthy. So
you get McCarthy. It's 9-3. Convincing win for you.
Convincing W.
I need to go back over the bye, study the film. I'm gonna be sitting there with Emily this weekend, and she's gonna be like, "Why are you watching old PHLY episodes?" And I'm gonna be saying, "I need to improve my Goose Wisely here." Yeah, because typically I'm trying to improve either my points, like not my points in Goose Wisely, the points that I make.
Okay.
Or in particular, my delivery. And this time, I'm actually going to be studying my rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and I'm going to be and my Goose Wisely.
All right, let's take a look now at the rosters from last week's draft. I had the Eagles quarterback, the Eagles running back, the rest of the Cowboys offense, and the Eagles front 4 and back 5, but the Cowboys linebackers. You had Dak and Pollard and the Eagles offense, and this is a tough one. I don't really know how to.
This was a clear win by me.
What? How do you say? How do you figure?
I mean, Dak was special.
You just spent like 10 minutes talking about how Jalen Hurts was the winning quarterback.
Yeah,
and how that mattered. He was the winning quarterback. So
okay,
if you're going to care so much about quarterback wins, then I think I should get the quarterback win.
So Tony Pollard outran DeAndre Swift.
Thanks to the Cowboys offensive line.
Okay, no, wait a second here.
CeeDee Lamb outgained A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
Okay, so you got the wide receivers.
And you had the Eagles linebacker, so it's the same matchup.
Here you go. So, Goddard was on pace for a strong game. Your boy Luke Schoonover didn't get into the end zone. I know that Jake Ferguson did play decently, and I like a Jake Ferguson. I don't know why Dallas spent that second round pick on Big Luke. The O-line, you went on about how Terrence Steele was taken advantage of. I got these Eagles tackles, okay? I got the Eagles interior O-line. So, boom, okay, I'm stronger on the offensive side of the ball. All right, the Eagles pass rush did well. I give them credit for that. But the Cowboys,
let's bring this back. Armstrong. Let's bring this back to journalistic integrity, and let's rewind to the last 2 segments when your number one takeaway from the offense was Jalen Hurts is playing at an elite level and he's the winning quarterback, and your number one takeaway from the defense is Josh Sweat should be in the conversation for the best edge rushers in the league, and I have them both.
Well, we're not the
Your number one takeaways. I got them both.
We're not the DLLS Cowboy show here. Like, if we're doing a Cowboy show today, I'm talking about the performance Dak Prescott had.
You're not whining about the refs like everybody else who seems to be doing that?
No, I never whine about refs. Like, no, definitely not.
Some bizarre sour grapes from Cowboys
I
media.
think like there are enough calls over the course of a game that stuff evens itself out. We'll leave it up to the chat. I see here Arthur Smith. Arthur Bo Wulf Smith says ZB dub. Okay. Santiago says Bo wins. Was that Conan above Santiago that says ZB wins? Yeah, Conan knows. And Conan's a minion, by the way. For him to say that I won when he worships at the altar of Bo Wulf, that to me speaks very... Look, Arthur says ZB needs a draft attorney. Yeah, trust me.
I clearly
I'm well
won.
aware here. look, this is what's going to happen. Bo's going to announce himself the winner. I'm going to look at the clock. I'm going to say it's 5 o'clock. We're doing another show in 16 hours or, a little more than that, 18 hours from now. I'm not going to fight you. You're just going to say you won. I'm going to say, okay. I'm eager to tweet out this Dallas Goedert information that Nick Sirianni said 30 minutes ago.
You're going to call Nick and apologize for missing the press conference?
Maybe email. Yeah. I don't want to bother him when he's with his family, right? It always pains me when I miss something. But there's nowhere I'd rather be than right here, right now.
You just wish it was at a different time.
Yes. Well, no, I mean, if I'm being candid here, and I should be honest, I wish it was at the time that it was scheduled, right?
No, that's right.
Yeah, so that's the way I that's another reason why I'd be
that's only because you're a man of integrity.
Well, I'd be such a bad head coach because I feel like coaches need to keep people waiting, and I have a hard time keeping people waiting. So actually, I'd be like Tom Coughlin, and 5 minutes early, and I'd say, where is everybody? Right, I'm here. So Coughlin time.
I think you could be better than Tom Coughlin.
Tom Coughlin's won 2 Super Bowls. I mean, let's pay some respect to Tom Coughlin here. First NFL coach I covered.
I thought you
like on a full time, but as a beat writer. Yeah.
Okay.
First NFL coach I covered as a beat writer, and I went up to him at Albany, introduced myself. He was really kind of confused why I was so eager. I went up after a press conference, stuck my hand out, looked him straight in the eyes, and yeah.
But he had a better or worse or less weirded out reaction than Eli Manning when you did the same thing.
I think Tom was more like, I'm just trying to get on with my day here. Eli was just like, well, simmer,
He was like Ronald Williams.
Eli was like, simmer, Zach. No, Eli was actually very friendly, and so was Tom Coughlin. I really enjoyed my time covering the Giants.
Classic bunch of guys over there.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Back tomorrow at 11 o'clock. We've got Fletcher Cox and Brian Baldinger. What a jam-packed show as we enter the bye week. We've got shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week. So lots to talk about, and we look forward to doing it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. For Julia and Zach, I'm Bo. We wish you the hugest of good nights, and as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.